Hi. Alright, so today is Monday, March 18th, 2013. I decided to make a video about my choice to be open and out about my transgender identity rather than being stealth, because I've been having a lot of conversations lately about like the pros and cons of living stealth, of being open, and I've also had a decent amount of publicity for my YouTube channel, so these kinds of conversations have been pretty pertinent to lately, especially as I graduate and want to go on to write an autobiography, a series of memoirs about my transition. So my girlfriend's mom asked her, said to her, this guy basically won't ever be able to be stealth if he writes this book. Like, what are his thoughts and feelings about that? And that's definitely something that I've talked about with my own mom, I believe, as well as just in general, about how I prefer to be out and open, and that I actually feel safer, I feel more comfortable, I feel less dysphoric by just being open about it. And let me just clarify, when I say I'm open about being trans, it doesn't mean that I tell every single person that I meet, or it doesn't come up every day. I do come out regularly, I'd say like once a week on average, but that's actually calmed down a bit in the past couple years. But I'd say in the past couple years, maybe once a week on average, I would come out. So it's kind of a never-ending sort of thing. However, I did come to college assuming that I would be stealth. And I've been making these YouTube videos since I started transitioning, but I never really realized how wide of an audience they have attracted, and that there are several people at my school who have either watched my videos before I even came to Skidmore, or watched them not even knowing I went to Skidmore, and then voila, we're in the same place. I know a lot of people whose friends from home have talked about my videos and have mentioned them. So very wide-reaching. I mean, I don't need to tell you that because you're watching my videos, so you know people watch them. But I mean, I've just kind of realized how big of a deal that is, because if you think about it, I'm going to write a book, but how accessible is a book on trans issues right now when someone also can go on the internet and Google trans things and find stories from people? It seems like I'm pretty likely to show up at some point during that search. So overall, I'm not too worried about outing myself more with writing my book. I think actually that being open on YouTube made it easier for me to make that decision that I do want to write it. So in the end, a good thing. Recently, I think as of last week, I was in the New Yorker, so that's pretty cool. My whole channel was featured. I was described as an articulate and upbeat FTM, so that's pretty nice. And I'll just put a link to that below. That's pretty cool. And I've also had various other forms of publicity. I'm being interviewed for another magazine. I'm featured on the FTM Den's website. I'll put a link to that. And I'm going to be interviewed by Transition Radio TV. I think that's mostly going to focus on my music. I haven't looked over the questions yet, but that's going to be in April sometime. So a lot of cool things coming up. I'll definitely keep you guys posted on those interviews and how they go. So basically, like, being open has given me a lot of possibilities. But I want to talk more on a personal level of like the two real main things that really I've benefited from by not being stealth in college like I planned. And I just want to preface it with, it's totally cool to be stealth. I know several people who are living stealth, although, I mean, they're out to me. But I think that still classifies as living stealth. They consider themselves as living stealth, so that's what matters. And in general, like, it's definitely the right path for some people, and I thought it would be for me. So I just want to say, every transition is different, everyone's choice is different, but I just wanted to give a little lowdown on the personal reasons of why I chose not to be stealth anymore. So this kind of all came about in the last 2 years. I'm a senior at Skidmore. So I'm a senior here. So freshman year I entered, and I thought I wanted to be stealth. I did have a female roommate, but when people asked if my birth name was still on things, I didn't get my legal name changed until a week after college started, which was, at the time, like, catastrophic, in my opinion, but because I had applied for it like 6 months beforehand. But in general, it worked out fine. But people asked about my birth name, and I just said that my mom had accidentally registered my sister, or written down her name, and that was like the worst lie ever. I mean, I'm in college. Like, it has to be my legal name. Like, they like make sure that they don't allow people with like, they don't allow really room for you to mess up on that whole thing. So I thought it flew, but it didn't, in general. So I came in thinking I was going to be totally stealth, and I ended up, the main thing, the first thing that I realized this wasn't the right path for me was I was thinking about myself being transgender all the time. It was pertinent, you know, I mean, I came to school, I was still binding because I didn't have chest surgery until that December of my freshman year, but I was all, like, I was concerned about my chest all the time. I would, like, stand like this, you know, and people would be like, that makes it more obvious, guy, and I'd be like, no. So, I mean, I was just constantly thinking about my body. I was overthinking the way I acted. I was like, if I do this hand motion, I can't do that. That's too feminine. Like, I can't talk like this, or I have to walk like that. And I was just totally boxing myself in. It was like I'd been totally open and out in high school, and before that, like, I mean, it was hard not to be completely, like, aware that I was transitioning in my hometown. It was only like 20,000 people, and my high school was like 2,000. So a lot of people knew, and I felt comfortable with it. Sure, I faced a little bit of harassment. I faced like a little bit of hard things to jump over in administration and socially, but overall, like, I'd say I was very lucky and very blessed to have that sort of successful coming out experience there. So I just immediately realized how much I was thinking about being trans when I was in a new place for the first time, and that being stealth actually was making me more dysphoric and more like I need to fit this mold of like a male, a cisgendered born male, because that's how I thought I felt, and that's how I was presenting myself, and that's where I thought I wanted to be. Obviously, I've grown since I was 18. I'm almost 22 now. So I've grown to realize that, you know, I identify as transgender. I identify as still on that spectrum somewhere, but more leaning towards masculine and male, that combination of two for me, rather than feminine or female. Although I would say on the spectrum of male to female, not masculine to femininity, I would be closer to male, but on the masculine-feminine spectrum, probably right in the middle. I'm pretty comfortable with my femininity, etc. So as I've grown up, I realized I wasn't even presenting as myself. I wasn't presenting as who I felt I was when I was trying to fit into that box, because I was overthinking myself and my actions because I was too busy trying to not be seen as trans. So, solution to that, I've been very open with my professors, with my friends, with administration, wide open about it, and I've found that I just feel so much more comfortable, I feel more confident about my body, and I feel like I'm actually being seen for who I am. Whether or not they think that I'm trans when they see me all the time, I don't think they do, but if they do, that's fine. I don't pick up on that vibe. I see them as they, you know, the way I vibe it is like the way I vibe it. What kind of language am I speaking? The way I feel is when folks see me, they're just seeing me as Sky and as myself. And being open about being trans has allowed me to realize that and not allowed me to overthink, like, what are they seeing me as? It doesn't matter, because I'm confident and I'm comfortable. So I feel like they see me as Sky, and they don't always think about my trans identity or anything like that. So whether or not that's true, whatever. And secondly, the second most important thing for me was that I became a lot closer to people when I chose to be out. I became a lot closer to my professors when I told them. In fact, one of my professors told me this morning when we were looking at my new drawings, she said that she would be able to see this sort of duality of opposing things, which is what my art, I guess, is kind of about. Like, in drawing, at least not in photo, but kind of like that. And she said that she would think that even if she didn't know my life story, which was her way of saying, like, she knows that I've transitioned. And so there's these two kind of opposing things in my life, or two lives I've lived. So I think that was pretty cool. I think that being able to have these conversations about my work, my papers, my artwork, anything like that, my poetry, especially last semester, yeah, was that last semester? Man, I missed that class. But yeah, like, being able to be open about it in my art, it was just amazing. So I think that if I had been living stealth, I would be losing this big aspect of my own identity too, and I'd also be losing the ability to share that with, you know, my professors and with my peers, with the other art students. And I think that in general, being able to tell some of my close friends, like, I just told one of my closest friends here about me being transgender last semester because I had gone to speak at St. Rose, and I came back, and we usually hang out on Thursday nights, and he was like, oh, where are you at? And I was like, this moment of, I can't just say I just spoke at a college because they're going to ask why. So I just kind of blurted out. I was like, well, actually, like, I went and spoke for transgender awareness at the College of St. Rose because I'm transgender. And they were just like, boop, not a big deal. And I think that actually brought me a lot closer to that group of friends, and especially that one really close friend. I don't know why I had chosen not to even tell him, I guess, because it hadn't come up. So Overall, it has definitely allowed me to be closer to folks, and it's allowed me to be honest, be open. It doesn't come up in conversation a lot, but like when I was having problems before I got my hysterectomy, like having those friends that knew, and like even if they didn't really know what was going on, at least I didn't have to like constantly like hide the fact that I was in pain and that I wasn't doing physically or emotionally very well. And like regardless, they hadn't had a similar experience, but they were able to support me. And so I think I would have lost a lot of that. My hair's doing crazy things. I think I would have lost a lot of that had I chosen not to tell them. I would have been really internalizing that and not being able to share that sort of emotional journey with them. So in general, I have decided to be completely open, and I feel good about it. I think that it was the right choice for me in college. I think it'll be interesting to see how open I am as I choose a career or whatever, and I move on with my future. I want to write this book first, main thing, and work on my music too. Actually being open about my transgender identity through my music as well, been extraordinary. I think that like I was able to write the songs I wanted to write. I'm able to perform them in queer venues because I'm open and out, and I'm really happy with the choice I made about all that. So I just wanted to say I'm happy to not be stealth in college anymore. People who are choosing to be stealth, that's the right path for them. I'm not saying anything bad about it, just didn't work out for me. So overall, cool. Anyway, just wanted to make a quick video, but now it's like 12 minutes long, so I'll end it now. And I hope everybody's doing well. I'm still getting over a cold. You can probably hear it. No, my voice did not drop like 10 million whatever octaves in 2 days, but yeah, just a little sick. And I hope everyone else is doing well. And yeah, happy March, almost spring. We're getting snow tomorrow. Cool. Peace.